Okay, good morning. We'll start. I think people are coming in, but if we want to keep in time, then we have to start now. Otherwise, we have a very packed day, whole day. So, let me just. Okay, good morning. So, I want to welcome you to this day-long Climate Week 2025, the first day's conference. So, Mr. Dr. Manzoor Hussain, Member, Secretary General Economic Divisions, Bangladesh Planning Commission, His Excellency Christian Briggs Moller, Ambassador, Embassy of Denmark in Bangladesh, His Excellency Paulo Fernando Diaz Ferre, Ambassador, Embassy of the Federal Republic of Brazil, Dr. Sayed Amir Ahmed, Lead Economist, World Bank, Mr. Wais Pere, Senior Economic Advisor, United Nations Development Program, Bangladesh. Excellencies, distinguished guests, partners, representatives from the media, colleagues, and friends, a very warm welcome to CPD Climate Week 2025. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this landmark event organized by the Center for Policy Dialogue in collaboration with the Embassy of Denmark in Bangladesh and in partnership with the World Bank Dhaka office. Over the next 4 days, we are going to engage ourselves to brainstorm on one of the most critical issues which is affecting Bangladesh, South Asia, and beyond. As we embark on this journey, I want to give you a context for this Climate Week. We meet at a time when climate crisis has moved from forecasts to living experiences. For Bangladesh, climate change is not a distant debate, it is a daily reality. From extreme heat waves and cyclones to salinity intrusion and erratic rainfall, Bangladesh is living the reality of climate vulnerability every single day. These shocks are not just environmental, they are deeply social and economic. They affect livelihoods, health, food security, and future generations. Yet, even in the face of these challenges, Bangladesh's story is one of the resilience and innovation. Bangladesh has built robust early warning systems, fostering community-based adaptation and mainstreamed climate priorities into its development planning. But we all recognize that commitments alone are not enough. The challenge is now to translate these commitments into measurable action. That is how to move from pledges to policies, from plans to implementation. And this is the spirit in which CPD Climate Week 2025 has been conceived. This is a national and international platform to connect ideas, institutions, and individuals who are ready to turn ambition into transformative solutions. This Climate Week is especially timely. In just a few weeks, the global community will gather in Belém, Brazil for COP30, which is a milestone moment as countries are expected to present enhanced climate commitments under the Paris Agreement. The issues which we will discuss here, from carbon pricing to debt sustainability to just transition, adaptation, and climate justice, are the very same issues at the heart of COP30 agenda. By holding these conversations in Dhaka, we attempt to contribute to the global dialogue by bringing the voice, experience, and aspirations of a climate vulnerable yet resilient country like Bangladesh to the world stage. In this respect, I would like to highlight some of the major features of CPD Climate Week 2025. This week is extraordinary not only for its ambition, but also for its diversity. This is a truly global and inclusive platform. The international conference brings together some of the finest climate experts, researchers from more than 25 countries, joining us here in Dhaka and online. Together, they will explore the practical policy solutions under the theme, A World Beyond Crisis, Climate Solutions That Work. I'm delighted to share that the Young Scholars Conference to be held tomorrow, 19th October, received an overwhelming 315 paper submissions from about 70 countries, with 54 papers selected for presentation finally tomorrow. The authors of these selected outstanding contributions are from Bangladesh, India, Hungary, Algeria, Benin, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, China, Egypt, Ghana, Jordan, Kenya, Malawi, Nigeria, Pakistan, Senegal, Togo, and Zambia. But as I have mentioned, there were more than 70 countries. These are the finalists. So this reflects the truly global reach of this event. It is also heartening to note that the gender balance is encouraging. 123 female and 192 male authors submitted their work. This proves that the climate discourse is becoming more inclusive and representative. Our Youth Climate Policy Dialogue, to be held on 20th October, has also drawn remarkable engagement with 446 registrations and 60 selected participants. The young leaders come from 19 districts across Bangladesh, representing voices from Dhaka, Bandarban, Borguna, Borishal, Chatpur, Chattogram, Gazipur, Khulna, Kishoreganj, Kurigram, Maulavi Bazar, Naugao, Netrokona, Patuakhali, Rajshahi, Rangpur, Satkhura, Khira, Sirajganj, and Sylhet. They will deliberate on topics such as climate budgeting, fiscal frameworks, and justice. We wanted to ensure that the perspectives of Bangladesh's next generation are heard loud and clear. And on day 4, on 21st October, we will witness creativity and innovation in action. More than 700 students joined the Climate Olympiad. Over 100 teams entered the policy case competition, and 71 proposals were submitted for the Green Project Showcase. These young minds are already proving that they are not only the leaders for tomorrow, but they are also change makers today. So as you can understand, each day of the Climate Week has distinct purposes. Our theme this year, Transforming Ambition to Action, speaks to the heart of the global climate conversation. Activities during these 4 days reflect CPD's enduring mission, which is to combine knowledge, dialogue, and policy influence for achieving equitable and sustainable development. I would like to emphasize that while Climate Week will end on 21st October, its impact must continue long after. Our goal is to institutionalize CPD Climate Week as an annual forum that fosters collaboration across sectors and strengthens Bangladesh's role in global climate governance. Before closing, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to a few people. Many of them are not here yet. First, my sincere thanks to CPD's chairman and the board of trustees of CPD, whose guidance, encouragement, and trust have been invaluable throughout the planning and preparation of Climate Week 2025. I also want to recognize my colleagues in CPD's research, dialogue and communications, finance and administrations divisions, whose intellect, energy, and dedication have driven this initiative from concept to reality. This event is the result of teamwork, and I'm immensely proud of the professionalism, creativity, and commitment of the entire CPD family. Distinguished guests, climate change is not only an environmental crisis, as I have mentioned in the beginning, it is a development challenge and a question of justice. The world often looks at Bangladesh as a story of resilience. However, we do not want to be recognized only as a country of resilience. Bangladesh should be recognized as a story of transformation which deals climate challenges with innovation, inclusion, and courage. Over the next 4 days, I hope our discussions will spark new ideas, forge new partnerships, and inspire renewed commitments that carry forward long after the Climate Week ends. Finally, on behalf of the Center for Policy Dialogue, I once again welcome you to the CPD Climate Week 2025. I thank you all. So I would now request Mr. Weiss Pere, Senior Economic Advisor, United Nations Development Program, Bangladesh, to make his remarks.
Excellency Moller, Ambassador of Embassy of Denmark, Dr. Manzoor Hussain, Bangladesh Planning Commission, Excellency Paulo Fernando, Ambassador, Embassy of Brazil, Amir, Dr. Fatima Khatun, colleagues, friends, Assalamu alaikum, Dobre Utra, Salamat Pagi, Igunlar. It's an honor for me and for UNDP to be here. Let me first convey apologies from Stefan Lehler, our resident representative who was unable to make it, and he asked me to represent UNDP. So it's a huge burden for me, and let me say a few words. First of all, I think the title of this week-long conference is, I think it conveys optimism. I believe that we are at the edge of the cliff. We have reached a precipice, but we still have a window of opportunity, but that window is closing very soon. So the title looks at this crisis and how we can turn it into an opportunity. So there is still time for us to act collectively, and to reverse the impact of global warming and the effect that is having on our economies, on social fabric, and of course the environment. As Dr. Famida Khatun said, it's no longer a distant threat. It's happening, we're experiencing it. We're experiencing it in Bangladesh, we're experiencing in many parts of the world. In fact, 2024 was the hottest year ever recorded. And then other day I was reading an article about one of the tipping points that we have already reached, and that's dying of the coral reefs. As you may know, that 80% of the coral reefs are already suffering from bleaching, from global warming. But some of the scientists are saying that we have already reached one of those tipping points, and we are going to see this continuous, uh, we're going to see the effects will be felt globally as far as coral reefs are concerned. But of course, there were some who disputed it, and I hope they're right. We have, of course, seen a loss in biodiversity. I think according to one estimate, in the last 50 years, 75% of the wildlife, there has been a decline. But that's only the monitored wildlife. I believe, we don't know a lot about species that exist. They may be very small, microscopic. We haven't been able to identify it, but the losses are huge. We're losing probably 200 to 2,000 species a year, which is huge. And biodiversity is not something that should just concern the environmentalists, because it has an economic impact. I think, according to, again, one study, biodiversity indirectly or directly impacts almost half of our GDP. So it is something that we should all be concerned about. We also know, and there are many studies, World Bank, UN studies that have shown that the economic losses from climate change and its impact are huge. And there are solutions now. I mean, that's the good news is there are solutions. There are technical solutions, and there is that willingness. More people are talking about it. Unfortunately, it's happening. Where we are now, we should have been there at least 2 to 3 decades ago. There are still among policymakers who are a bit skeptic about climate change. But you can see there is a general consensus has been built, and countries are taking action, small and big. And of course, countries like Bangladesh haven't contributed much to global warming. It's the big countries that they have grown fast. They have pursued an industrialization which was heavy, polluting, and then they started cleaning up. As I said the other day in a different forum, that kind of a pathway, I strongly advocate developing countries should not pursue, because there's an economic imperative for developing countries to choose a greener pathway. And there is an advantage to be first rather than do the cleanups, achieve a high level of growth, and then think about environment. Let me conclude by saying conveying two messages. I think this relates to the pathways, how we can move forward. One, I think we need to see a green revolution. We had the green revolution in agriculture in the 70s, 80s, but we want to see it across the economy. And again, there are solutions that are available, and we need to scale it up. We need to see a new form of structural transformation, not heavy industrialization anymore. And I'm not advocating for degrowth. Countries need to grow, especially developing countries. They need to grow at a fast pace, but we need to find ways of growing without increasing our carbon footprint. And technology, again, is available. There's willingness, there are solutions, so we need to deploy those solutions and scale up. And second thing, which is extremely important, and it's been always a lubricant in economic growth, is finance. We do need a lot of finance. We need innovative finance, but and importantly, we need green finance. And that would create the right kind of incentives. So without that, I think it would be hard to meet these global targets that we have collectively agreed upon, whether it's form of reducing the global temperature, or reversing biodiversity, or reducing air pollution. But in all of this, we should also be mindful of disruptions. This is also going to be a technological change, economic transformation. A green economic transformation is also going to be disruption. So we should be mindful of not leaving people behind. There are always cracks in a free market. People may be left behind. They may not be able to adapt. Some industries that have driven the growth so far, maybe they will no longer be there in a few years' time. So people who are employed there, how do we find opportunities? How do we give them opportunities to find new forms of work? And it's not just climate change, it's also the technological changes, rapid technological changes that we are seeing now, which are making the labor markets extremely disruptive. So we should be mindful of that. So moving forward, the green growth or the pathway to green growth should be indeed inclusive. We should give opportunities for people to engage in the growth process, to benefit from the growth process. And I hope during this conference we are able to find, as I said, there are solutions. I hope we'll find some more innovative solutions, but also if you can focus on how to scale up those solutions. I think that's the challenge. How do we make those solutions work at a scale? And that's where I think Bangladesh can champion itself. And we are in BRAC. And BRAC, I remember growing up when I was very young, I used to hear stories about BRAC. And BRAC itself, is a wonderful innovation. It has expanded globally. It's one of the largest social businesses globally. And I think the BRAC NGO is probably the largest in the world. And the models that they have tested and shown the success, it's pretty inspiring for all of us. And models like poverty graduation, those are being replicated in many countries. So we are in a venue which can inspire us to think of solutions that can be scaled and scaled rapidly. With those few words, I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Vice Pere, for your insights. Now I would turn to Dr. Sayed Amir Ahmed, who is the lead economist at the World Bank Dhaka office.
Assalamu alaikum, good morning, and welcome to ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, colleagues at CPD, colleagues with our development partners, the media, research institutions, students. It is my pleasure to represent the World Bank Group this morning at the inaugural session of the conference on World Beyond Crisis, Climate Solutions That Work, and my gratitude to CPD for organizing the Climate Week 2025. Now, we're all here because we're interested in the issues around climate change or on climate policy, and as we heard from Dr. Khatun and Dr. Pere, that on the magnitude of the challenges. And Bangladesh is no stranger to these challenges. And from either side of the discussion, whether it's from the mitigation side or from the adaptation side. In terms of mitigation, we know the magnitude of the global challenge, to which Bangladesh is a relatively minor player. It contributes less than half a percentage point of global emissions, but as we heard, the choices that Bangladesh makes today will influence its trajectory and its accumulation of assets going forward into the future. On the other side, on adaptation, the story is much more visible and ingrained into the DNA of Bangladesh. It's the seventh most climate vulnerable country in the world, and in many ways it goes back to the very birth, or maybe when Bangladesh was in utero, to the Bhola cyclone of 1970. And it's not just that cyclone. In the last 2 decades, Bangladesh has experienced about 185 extreme weather events, and the impacts of climate change are evident all around us. Rising sea levels, intrusion of saline water into agricultural lands, more frequent floods, more frequent cyclones, and more extreme heat waves. And if we think about the thresholds that we've talked about globally in terms of heating, so even if global temperature increases can be limited to a percentage and a half degrees Celsius, these severe risks will persist and be exacerbated. So some evidence suggests that by 2050, Bangladesh could face about more than 13 million internal climate migrants. If there's more than a meter of sea level rise, about a third of the coastal population could be exposed, have greater exposure to 100-year floods. These are floods of such magnitude that the frequency is of once a century. Flooding and sea level rise could further threaten water supplies in about a fifth of cropland in southern Bangladesh, about 6 to 7% if we're thinking about it nationally. These climate-related risks threaten to slow down and perhaps even undo and reverse some of Bangladesh's development progress. And Bangladesh has been a success story in many, many different dimensions when we think about growth, about improvements in human capital, about poverty reduction. Since independence, Bangladesh has increased its income per capita by more than 300%, by 4 times since independence. It's had a tremendous story in multiple human capital indicators, whether we're talking about infant mortality, about maternal health, about life expectancy. Since independence, Bangladesh has added on average 6 months of life to its life expectancy every year, beating averages across the region and across the lower middle income country group. But all of these all of the issues around climate threaten these successes, not just from the direct damages that they impose, but also in terms of the competing demands it places on financing. Because the solutions will require resources. It'll require human resources, physical resources, but at the end of the day, financial resources. And the World Bank has this flagship report called the Country Climate and Development Report, the CCDR for short, where we estimated that about 0.8% to over 5% of annual GDP will be required to finance priority areas identified in the government of Bangladesh's own national action plans. The CCDR recommends mobilizing climate finance to build carbon markets, carbon market readiness, scaling up adaptation, strengthening institutional capacity, and engaging stakeholders to align with climate action with development goals. And these are well aligned with the World Bank's own mission to end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity on a livable planet. And when we think about how can we align the country's development goals with these critical issues around climate resilience and climate adaptation, we have to think beyond our own institution, beyond the government, beyond any one individual entity, because the scale of the challenge requires partnerships. It requires partnerships because nobody can do this alone, given the size of the challenge. And so here, with that, I'd like to note that the World Bank is a proud member of the Partnership for Market Implementation, which is designed to support global the global carbon market, and specifically Bangladesh's engagement in this market. And it has the potential to become a key instrument for mobilizing additional climate finance by leveraging domestic and international resources. Alongside that, we have the financial portfolios of development partners, development financiers like the World Bank and other institutions, which can be leveraged. The World Bank has been a partner of Bangladesh for more than 50 years, and in that time we have a portfolio that spans multiple sectors, and including the critical sectors that will be important in the future for the climate resilience and climate adaptation agenda, including operations and activities around renewable energy, clean and resource-efficient production, air quality management, and supporting the private sector to adopt green technology and green technologies and to build resilience to climate change. Now, I'll end here, but I just wanted to note that coming back to this point about partnerships, partnerships isn't just at the formal level between institutions, between the government and institutions, between institutions and shareholders. It's about the people of Bangladesh, and that's why events like CPD Climate Week are so important, because they bring together these different stakeholders. It brings together research institutions, brings together civil society, students, academics, development partners, and financiers to think about these solutions and these challenges more holistically. With that, I'm extremely excited about the sessions and discussions later today and over the coming days, where we'll get to hear about the perspectives of these different sets of stakeholders, so we can come together to find climate solutions that work for Bangladesh, and that contribute not just to the World Bank's vision of eradicating poverty, boosting shared prosperity on a livable planet, but also supporting Bangladesh's development journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amir Ahmed, for your valuable remarks. We are really encouraged. So now I would like to call upon our special guests. First, I would request His Excellency Mr. Christian Brix-Muller, who is the Ambassador of the Embassy of Denmark in Bangladesh.
CPD Executive Director Famida Khatun, respected fellow colleagues in this panel, researchers, development partners, private sector leaders, youth leaders, students and media, a very good morning and thank you very much for joining us today. Like others, let me start with by stating the obvious, namely that climate change is indeed a reality. It's affecting our cities, our food, our families, and it's everywhere in the world and it's affecting everyone in the world. So CPD Climate Week 2025 is a timely opportunity to focus on solutions for climate action as we look ahead to COP30 in Belém this November. Our Brazilian hosts rightly have said that it's time for less talk and more action, and connecting more closely with the actors and initiatives that can drive change on the ground. In that same spirit, CPD Climate Week 2025 offers an important platform to turn ideas into action, to showcase solutions and inspire collaboration. Some of you might know that Denmark currently holds the presidency of the European Union and will represent the EU in Belém. And our goal is clear. It is to help deliver ambitious and meaningful outcomes at COP30 that will accelerate the implementation of nationally determined contributions and bring us closer to achieving the Paris Agreement. Now, when it comes to concrete climate action, Bangladesh has shown the world time and again what resilience truly means. But as Dr. Famida also said, Bangladesh should not only be recognized in terms of resilience, but also deserves recognition for strong contributions and a strong role in innovation and transformation. But Bangladesh really has shown the world this resilience, be it through people rebuilding their homes and after devastating storms, coastal farmers growing salt-tolerant crops, communities constructing floating schools and gardens to continue education and farming during floods. I would like to briefly share 3 examples of how Denmark-Bangladesh partnerships are turning climate ambition into real impact. First, I would like to mention the pink water tanks, part of Rain for Life, that is being implemented by BRAC, funded by Denmark. In coastal villages where safe drinking water was once a daily struggle, these rainwater harvesting systems have brought health and relief to now more than 100,000 people. And this model is already inspiring replication in other parts of Bangladesh as well as globally, including in Africa. This is a testament to how simple local innovations can become global solutions. Second example, together Denmark and Bangladesh are preparing for Bangladesh's first ever offshore wind project near Cox's Bazar, a bold and forward-looking step. Just imagine the wind turbines rising from the Bay of Bengal producing clean, reliable energy for millions. This 500 megawatt, around 1.3 to 1.5 billion US dollars private investment, illustrates that partnerships between governments, private investors and international partners can power real change. Let me also in this connection highlight from the recent UN report called Seizing the Moment of Opportunity that solar and wind energy are actually now almost everywhere the most affordable and fastest source of new power. Less air pollution from oil and gas and coal will also improve quality of life. My third and last example, Embassy of Denmark just concluded a project with IFC of the World Bank called Partnership for Cleaner Textile, or we call it PACT. And here we established a knowledge hub at BGMEA from where textile industries can get support for more resource-efficient technologies for cleaner production. In continuation of this, we have just started the Bangladesh Climate Advisory Partnership, also with IFC of the World Bank, for exploring and promoting climate-smart technologies for Bangladeshi industries. As part of this project, we also work to strengthen the financial sector of Bangladesh to offer green bonds and schemes for green transition. That was my three examples. From collecting rainwater to capturing wind to greening textiles, these three examples remind us that the best climate solutions are often right in front of us. They are practical, partnership-driven, and ready to scale. Before I conclude, I would like briefly to mention also a new area which I believe hold great potential for Bangladesh, and that is carbon markets. Carbon markets is a system that rewards countries and companies for lowering emissions. At the last COP29 in Baku, countries reached a landmark decision to establish country-specific carbon trading mechanisms under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. For Bangladesh, in my view, this presents a powerful opportunity to advance national climate goals, to attract green investment, and to enhance industrial competitiveness. From Denmark's side, we have already been working for years with Department of Environment of Bangladesh, the World Bank, and private sector partners in Bangladesh and Denmark on carbon credits. And we will now intensify this work. Already next week, on 23rd of October, we will host a seminar bringing together experts, government representatives, and private sector leaders to accelerate the dialogue and action on carbon market development in Bangladesh. In this way, Denmark will continue to share knowledge, technology, and experience for climate solutions. But we are also here to listen and learn from Bangladesh, a country that has shown the world how resilience combined with innovation can build hope even in the toughest times. As we look ahead to a world beyond crisis, let us remember that real progress happens when we work together, when ideas come from people, and when we turn those ideas into solutions and action. In conclusion, I would like to give a special recognition to the youth, whose energy, ideas and partnership and leadership are essential for building a climate resilient and climate smart future. Thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful and enjoyable Climate Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, Christian Briggs-Muller, for your insights and also for highlighting the activities the Embassy of Denmark is working in Bangladesh. Now, I would like to request His Excellency Mr. Paulo Fernando Dias Ferez, who is the ambassador of the Embassy of Federative Republic of Brazil. As you know, that Brazil is the host country for COP30.
Dr. Famida Cartoon, fellow members of the panel, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to say here will probably overlap with has already been said, but it's unavoidable. This theme is a very important one, and we are all looking for solutions for the climate change. Today, we stand at a crucial juncture in our history. The climate crisis is no longer a distant threat. It's an urgent reality affecting every corner of our planet. Rising temperatures, extreme weather events, rising sea levels. Bangladesh feels this effect very constantly. These are not just headlines, but these are calls to action. Amid this challenge, there is still hope, but as my friend here has said, the window of opportunity is closing very fast. There are solutions. Christian has just mentioned a few of them, but innovative, practical, and scalable solutions that can help us to forge a sustainable path forward. Our task is to shift from despair into action by embracing these climate solutions that work. First, let's recognize the power of renewable energy. Solar, wind, and hydroelectric power have proven to be clean, efficient, and increasingly affordable. Countries investing in renewable infrastructure are not only reducing their carbon footprint, but also creating jobs and boosting their economies. For example, nations like Denmark and Costa Rica have shown that transitioning to renewables is both feasible and beneficial. And let me just make a remark here. It's something that people normally don't know. Brazil has a pretty clean energy metrics. It's basically hydroelectric, and the country is investing heavily in solar panels and wind turbines. We should have started sooner, right? But now it's really on its way. And it's only like public investment in this sort of infrastructure. The Brazilians are investing themselves in solar panels because we have sun all the year round, right? So it's easy to accumulate energy. For instance, for electric cars, that's a new feature that's taking hold of the country. It's becoming more and more popular. So more and more people are giving up traditional engines for the new ones. And this is a good thing because they can also, well, the excess of energy, the eventual excess of energy, the energy they don't use, they can share it with the national power grid. And so they can get some money, to pay for their investment as well. This is a solution that works. Second, I've already mentioned this, that sustainable transportation is vital. Electric vehicles, public transit, and cycling infrastructure, et cetera, can also reduce emissions and improve air quality. Cities worldwide are investing in these smarter transit networks, demonstrating that sustainable transportation is achievable and desirable. In this connection, I think that Bangladesh has a very good opportunity because the country is in search for a path for its own development, and I think it can profit from the new technologies, not instead of the old ones. The country can work with the new technologies in terms of environment, new good practices of transportation, which are becoming more and more real all over the world every day. So, for here you have heavy traffic jams. So this is not good for the health of people. We have lots of carbon dioxide being emitted into the atmosphere. But the future might be brighter because if, for instance, these now, they in Brazil, and even I saw it in Dubai, it's happening in Brazil and in other parts of the world, the United States and everywhere. So now I think that very soon we will be able to use I would say like flying cars, you know, like those drones that can transport people, so it might be the end of traffic jams, will save a lot of energy and a lot of, you know, pollution as well. But anyway, I'm just mentioning this because it's something that is feasible. This is already feasible, right? So it's close to us. It will take some time, but I think that we will eventually, you know, move into these new modes of transportation. So third, we should also mention nature-based solutions that offer, because they offer an elegant way to combat climate change. Reforestation, wetland restoration, and urban green spaces absorb carbon dioxide, improve biodiversity, and enhance community resilience. Forest conservation alone can sequester vast amounts of carbon and support local livelihoods. We know this better than anyone else because we have problems, or we have had, we still have, but we had, they were worse in the past. I mean, I'm referring to the problems we had with the rainforest, right? It has to be preserved. You know, today, like the last statistics say that like 12% of the forest has suffered some sort of damage, you know, but the rest of it is in pretty good shape. So, and we are replanting the trees that have been chopped down. But this is a discussion for another occasion. Right? So, as I mentioned already, so innovation and technology continue to push the boundaries of what's possible. And then you have carbon capture storage and storage, sustainable agricultural practices, and smart grid technologies are transforming our energy landscapes and agricultural resilience. In this particular point, I would like to say that if there is an area where Brazil can really help Bangladesh, is in agriculture and livestock, sustainable agriculture and livestock. We have developed good solutions, you know, in this area, you know, so that would be perfectly applicable to Bangladesh. But I must say we still have some problems because, for instance, in terms of what livestock, it's necessary, for instance, to Bangladesh to certificate Brazil as a halal producer, for instance, you know, and then allow the private sector to engage, because this certification is something that the government must do. The private sector cannot. But once it's done, the government is out of the picture, and the private sector, private sectors of both countries could try to find out ways to work this out. It will be trade and investment. And what really bothers me in a way is that we have activities in this area around Bangladesh, but not in Bangladesh. So we have a very deep cooperation with now, very recently, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, with all the countries, the Gulf countries, right? Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Qatar, etc. But we don't have it with Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the outstanding exception in the Muslim world, as far as cooperation in this crucial area is concerned, especially because this country lacks, you know, like animal protein, and we could improve this together, right? Now, I want to highlight the significance of the upcoming events, especially COP30, which, as you know, will be held in Belém. Belém is a small city, right, compared to others, of course. It's big in the state of Pará, right? Amazon has two states, Amazon and Pará. The capital of the Amazon state is Manaus, and Belém is the capital of the state of Pará. Both of them are big states. They are, and the city is right at the heart of the forest, right? So it's, so I don't know if any of you here will be going to Belém, but if you are, it's going to be a great experience because it's a totally different world, right? It's a water world. It's just the forest and the rivers. So the children in the Amazon area, they learn how to row before they learn how to walk. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. It's true. They start very early, like I think in Denmark, maybe they learn how to ski, before they can walk. It's the same thing in the Amazon with the boats. But to highlight this conference, because the decision to host the conference in the Amazon was to give it some symbolic meaning, right? It's very symbolic, I guess. But But the thing is, what happens during the conference and what comes next, because this international climate conference, so there will be, I think, a pivotal moment for our nations to reaffirm their commitments and enhance their ambition to accelerate action toward meeting global climate targets. It offers an opportunity for countries to collaborate, share innovative solutions, and demonstrate real leadership in combating climate change. The world will be watching, of course, and it's essential that we turn these discussions into concrete and impactful actions. See, this is the crucial point, action. Because since, how many years now, we've been, listening to people talk about the crisis, the climate change, the rising temperatures, the countries being flooded and people suffering, livelihoods being wiped out. But we see very little action. Some of us are acting. I just mentioned here Denmark and Costa Rica. There are others. But many, either they are not acting or they are not acting so fast. And they should. Because if we don't overcome this crisis, like the suffering will be spread all over the world. So we can avoid it, right? So why don't we? The technology and policies are not enough. We need, I will stress it again, collective effort, collaboration, and commitments from governments, the private sector, and individuals alike. So every one of us has a role to play. Empowering communities, fostering awareness is essential. Education can inspire new generations to think sustainability and act responsibly. This is a very interesting point too, because one thing that I can say about my own country is that, like, the new generations, they have a very enhanced awareness about the importance of preservation. So, and they act accordingly, right? They act accordingly. So this is also, like a beam of hope that, as we move into the future, we might, at some point, find, the balance that we need for the problems we are facing today. But as I said, we cannot wait very long. This can happen. This should happen in a time frame, that avoids, the tipping point of, I don't remember, it's 1.5 degrees, right? Degrees Celsius, so we should act, that we should fast. But anyway, when I have young daughters, young nephews, and so I'm hopeful. I am optimist, I am not a pessimist, but I think that we must act. So in conclusion, a world beyond crisis is achievable, yeah? But it will require all of this: collective action, innovative solutions, commitment, and everything I've said before. I'm not going to repeat all of them. So at COP30, I really hope that we can seize the moment, seize the opportunity, to move, beyond, and try to find a better future, a sustainable future, one where climate solutions work for everyone and where hope can replace despair. So together, I believe we can turn the tide and create a brighter and greener world. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Mr. Paulo Fernando Diaz-Perez. So, yeah, you have highlighted some of the challenges, but you also have provided some solutions. And we are happy to have a brief on Belém. How does it look like? I mean, many of you must have Googled, but I think coming from the horse's mouth is much, much better. But I'm not sure how many are going, but as you know, this is going to be both exciting and challenging, right? So all the best to those who are traveling there, and we hope that there will be a positive outcome from that, COP 30. Now, I would like to request Dr. Manzoor Hussain, who is the Member Secretary, General Economic Division, Bangladesh Planning Commission, to make his remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Fahmida Khatun, Executive Director, CPD, Excellencies, and distinguished participants, and academia, researchers, and others. A very good morning to you all. I am very happy, and also I am honored and privileged that CPD invited me in this very auspicious event, and I thank CPD for this, and I also congratulate CPD for organizing this unique event, particularly Climate Week 2025. Particularly in the context of COP 30. So as I am in the Planning Commission, I want to highlight some of the activities, some of the policies that we are going to undertake over time, and I also acknowledge that what you have discussed this morning, that we need to talk less, we need to work more. We need to bring policies into actions. That is what we are trying to do. As you know that we have a Delta plan, which we also need to, I think, revise in the coming days to make it more actionable, to make it more people-oriented, and to make it more predictive. 100 years plan may not be that much predictive, but we have to work on, I think, time-based monitoring and evaluation purposes. So what we are doing that I want to particularly highlight that we need to focus on more adaptive framework rather than mitigation and other things. So in the Planning Commission, particularly in my division, General Economics Division, we have a Delta wing. So that's a kind of institutional arrangement we have done so far. We are going to launch another wing, which is on blue economy. So that is also an important development from the part of the government. We are working on Delta Adaptation Framework, which is not just a single document, but we think that it should be a collection of interlinked policies, institutional arrangements, strategies, and tools that will be designed to help the country adapt to climate change and other risks. And that's why we are focusing on many issues. Particularly, we already identified 6 hotspot regions in the country. Regions are not only coastal regions, it also integrate issues like river erosion, hour flush areas, drought-prone, and in the urban areas. So now the policies and plans are working, concentrating in these 6 regions. And we are also working on identifying the investment plan and projects, concentrating in those regions. A large number of projects already identified that can be aligning with the Delta plan of the government. So it is important for us to make some climate resilient investment, I think, framework or projects. That's why we are identifying projects that are climate resilience, that could be infrastructural project, that could be institutional strengthening project, that could be knowledge gathering projects. So already there are some works are undergoing, and recently we had some interministerial meetings on those issues. We involved some other institutions in collaboration. Those are Institute of Water Modeling, Center CAIGS, and this kind of well-known institutes are working in line with. And also I should acknowledge that The government of Netherlands, Japan are helping us in those endeavors. As I said that deltawing in the Planning Commission, particularly in my General Economics division, we have several projects and we are working on these issues so that we can develop a knowledge portal, we can develop data banks, we can develop a governance council. We have a Delta Governance Council also with the head of the, I think, chief advisor, prime ministers. So there are some policy frameworks in place. The important is that we need to work on this. By this time, we have developed and finalized a Delta appraisal framework. You will be happy to learn, and the government approved that. This means this tool will be used help evaluating projects for inclusion in the annual development programs. So what kind of project are going to include in the annual development progress? It has to be vetted by the Delta appraisal framework. So that is an important, I think, progress towards the climate risk issues and associated other risk. So we have also, I want to say that not only this kind of framework is enough to reduce risk, we have to also work on some other challenges that are coming in place. For example, financing is a big issue that for scaling of an investment, we need a very huge financing modalities. So mobilizing public funds is not only enough to handle all those things. We need to have some public-private partnership framework. We need some climate finance, which is currently a bit difficult, but we need to come across and we need to share on these issues. I think developed countries and COP30, I hope they will find a solution on this. In terms of institutional capacity, we need to have some skilled personnel also to work on this kind of adaptive framework or even climate risk associated issues. So for this, I think for the government, I can say that JICA has been helping to train some government officials. I think so far about 25 or more officials from the government have gone to Japan and to take some training and other related some sort of capacity building aspects. So these are ongoing, but the issue is that what we are going to do and what we are doing in place. Still, we do not have that kind of mechanism to involve climate risk aspects in the development projects. So our Delta appraisal framework, I hope it will minimize that gap, but still it is yet to be functional There are many other aspects also. One is data gaps and uncertainty. You know that we need to involve the stakeholders and that needs to be highlighted. The issues of local communities, that they should be meaningfully included in the planning process so that we can ensure inclusive development that would be sustainable in the future. Finally, I would say that along with these actions, challenges and others, what we should do in the future, in our planning process, it must be iterative and we need to have a review process over time. We need a scaling of nature-based adaptation. We should give more focus on restoring ecosystems which provide multiple benefits to the people and other stakeholders. We need to strengthen local governance and community engagement must be enhanced. Capacity building is one of the issues and leveraging climate finance, and at the same time we have to I think give more emphasis on public-private partnership in dealing with all climate risk-related projects and practices. The important aspect that I have seen over time that coordination is a big problem among the government, among the private sector also. So we need to work more on closely with the government and private sector so that we can deal these issues in a better way. So, and cross-sector integration is another issue. Finally, I would say that we have to work in a shared interest so that not only regulations or not only policies, not only data and others, we have to work closely to mitigate these gaps, and also we need to focus on more financing. It is not only the roles of the government, it is all the private sectors, it is the roles of the households to ensure environment and to bring sustainability and mainstreaming sustainability in all aspects of life, particularly in businesses, in livelihoods, in households and every other places. So I hope that in this event, I think CPD's event will be a good success, full event to make all those issues, and that will be helpful for the country's policy making also. I hope that CPD will share these things with the government also, so that we can take some actions and take it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manzoor Hussain, Member Secretary, General Economic Divisions, Bangladesh Planning Commission. So with this, I would like to conclude the inaugural session. Thank you very much, each and every discussant, participants has shared their views. UNDP has highlighted the importance of taking action because time is running out. And World Bank has also highlighted that how they are doing partnership with the Bangladesh government and also various stakeholders in the country. We heard from Denmark that there are various attempts, initiatives which are being undertaken, which will be undertaken in Bangladesh, and they are also eager to help Bangladesh to chart out a green path. We heard from the ambassador from Brazil that how some of the examples which have been successful, and how Bangladesh should also move forward towards a greener and cleaner path through renewables, various sorts of renewables, and also work together. Then finally we heard from Dr. Manzoor that what the government is doing, it has a number of plans, but we'll have to work out towards the implementation of those plans. So I hope that we will have a very productive session. As you can see in the program, that we have a very packed program and with a lot of participants, because we see that while organizing this program, one of this revelation is that there are so many climate experts and also people who are working on the ground. So we wanted to include as many as possible, not only from Bangladesh, but beyond, not only from Bangladesh, beyond Bangladesh, and not only from Dhaka, but beyond Dhaka as well. So with this, I would like to end. Thank you once again for coming and making our program a successful one, at least the inaugural session. Now we'll quickly move to the inaugural plenary, opening plenary session, which will be chaired by Ms. Khushi Kabir. She is a member of CPD's Board of Trustees, and there are various, various speakers. And this session will be also joined by the Honorable Advisor of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change of the interim government of Bangladesh. She will join during the course of the program sometime because she has another engagement. So there are, as I said, there are several speakers. So speakers will have to, the chair will guide, but I would just pre-warn that you will have to be very short and concise so that everyone can speak, and then we have to have... Okay, we'll have a break. Okay. We'll have a break for 10 minutes so that we'll have to also change the setting. Thank you very much.